journey of the 5th edition. Join our various gaming groups as we play the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons. And maybe just hang out and chat about gaming in general. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, assigned to Ragnarok Story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Glad
Jim,
you're back
now
here.
that our mystery guest has arrived, who the hell is it?
Yes, who is this mystery man in the background?
I prefer to go by Batman, but you know.
You gotta say it a little deeper. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Where are the drugs? That's more of a modern Batman, I guess.
At least you haven't failed the city.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing?
We are doing good. So we're pretty much talking about how, and I know immediately you're going to latch onto this one because this is right up your alley, but how your writing in short story form, novel form, novella form supports your RPG.
Oh, yeah. Man, it's been such a long time since I've talked to you guys. It's so much stuff has happened in between.
How have you survived?
If you listen to the first half of this podcast, you can catch up.
Yeah, right.
Yep, indeed.
Do we have to record part 2 at the end of the week?
Yeah, right. It's fascinating because that's actually a lot of been what's going on with me. I just signed a contract for about 50 pages to, write in a it's the D&D like a third-party D&D kind of adventure. They do their own world. It's called Gooey Cube, and so shout out to them and Dr. Goo, Alphinius Goo. He's a really cool guy. But they have this really cool world called Zathura, and it's just kind of like, it's really deep. They hire artists for every monster. They have their own monster manual, their own maps, very detailed maps of cities and lore. It's crazy. And so they'll be hiring me to do that based off of what the topic of today is, which is kind of going over how our short story writing kind of bleeds into our lore and our overworld storytelling. I think, John, you read part of my series, my short story on the robots.
Yes, I remember, Evan, yes.
Yes, so that and a short module I wrote called Knights and Dolls got me the contract. It was really nice. I've been running a D&D group at Tucson Games and Gadgets. We have like 50 people a week. It's ridiculous. And I've been using a lot of that to do exactly that, kind of expand my own universe by sort of kind of dropping little bits of my universe into the D&D world.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. By the way, before I forget completely, I just wanted to say to everybody, here's a good stock tip. The TSR that started, Gary Gygax and David Arneson invented D&D through TSR. They were bought out by Wizards of the Coast. which was then bought out by Hasbro back around 2000. And Hasbro, now Disney is, there are all sorts of rumors that Disney is trying to take over Hasbro. The Disney Corporation, they have this insatiable desire to control every game and control everything that children would want. So,
they're the best Pokemon players out there.
Yeah, and so I would suggest to everybody, you want to support D&D, buy Hasbro stock.
Right. All I have to say to that is, if there are any Hasbro acquisition officers out there listening to this podcast right now, you can find me at acaftercollapse.com, and I can imagine some very big numbers. So please give me a call.
It's funny you bring that up. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to pitch my website, but go ahead, Evan.
No, please go ahead.
Well, my website again, my website again is dmpalomar.us2.authorhomepage.com.
And of course, I might as well throw mine in there before we throw in the creative.
You better throw yours in there, man.
We're looking at www.paradigmloststore. That's PARADIGM loststore.com. And we're actually going to be moving into our summer season with our summer recipes of dice. And I've got a new Rogue's Tower. It's a lock and key tower that opens up with the right key. You can also lock pick it if you want. But it's funny that you mentioned that, John, because so when Wizards of the Coast bought TSR, they actually declined to buy a lot of their logos. In fact, they declined to purchase just about everything other than the name and some of the classic monsters and some of the mechanics. But as we all know, Gygax sort of retained a lot of that D20 system, and that's why a lot of people can play in a D20 system, but it's not D&D.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that stuff is back on the market, and Ernie Gygax, his son, might actually buy back TSR. And ask me how I know this stuff.
Gosh, Evan, how do you by chance know this?
I sent some samples of my stuff over to Ernie, and he's a really great guy. They're actually doing tours, so again, another shout out to Ernie Gygax and the Gygax Museum that is up in Wisconsin by Lake Geneva. And yeah, the Dungeons Hobby Shop, I believe, they have a website. You should check them out too. Mm-hmm. They have some cool stuff, but they have a video, a tour video, where people are rolling dice on the monument to put some mojo in their dice, if you know what I mean. Oh, it's great. It's they actually part of the tour is they do like a family style dinner at the house next door, and that's where people can stay and stuff. But you do this family style dinner, and then you all go and you play a session with Ernie Gygax in the house that D&D was made. It's awesome. I would love to go there sometime. But
yeah, I would too. I used to go to Gen Con when it was still in Wisconsin, but yeah, I've never actually been to Lake Geneva. I hear they are building that monument you mentioned, so it is completed?
Yes. So it's totally finished, and they do GaryCon there, I believe, and I sent some prize dice, prize support up there.
Nice.
For that. So it's definitely something I'm really excited to be involved with, because I mean, I would love to be part of TSR coming back.
I would also want to say, Evan, that I loved what I read of your material. I thought it was splendid writing, and I'm eager to read more of what you're writing, and I just hope you keep reading more of what I'm doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I have to get some of your books, actually. I said I would, and I remember my promises. But they have to be signed.
Of course.
Okay.
That's one thing why I love my publisher. She believes very much in print on demand. What does that mean? No one wants to pile 1,000 copies of their books in their bedroom and have to move around them all the time. So if you get your books printed like I do, I look for a printer that prints on demand. Like I call them up and say, hey, I need 100 copies of each of my books for a big major Comic-Con coming up. And, oh, sure, we'll have that ready for you in a week. And then I use that until I start getting low again. And then I just call them again. Like some people are like, oh, but it's much more affordable if you buy 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 copies of each book, and then you can keep them. And I'm like, yeah, and then your house or your apartment is full of stacks of books.
And that's good marketing on their side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, their job is to sell books, so they're marketing you at that point.
Right. And all I can say is that Evan, I'm very impressed with your work, and I love your dice too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been hard work. Everything's been crazy now. The conventions are coming back, and that's where the money makers are. I think we can all agree with that.
Mm-hmm. That, and it's where the fun is getting to actually meet and socialize with folks again. That's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to. It's like I joked with some of my convention friends that, maybe before the cons start up, we just all hang out at a hotel to hang out, because that's what that first con's going to be like. We're going to miss the entire con, all the panels, all the vendors area, because we're all just hanging out with each other again, re-socializing.
Right. So I'm going to get shot for saying this, but you know what I miss most about the Comic-Cons, and I can't wait for them to start up again? Cosplay. I have seen magnificent costumes and outfits from every genre you can think of at Comic-Con events. I love the custom-made costumes. They're just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing some of the virtual conventions, and that's one thing you don't see is nobody's doing that 3-month build up to get a costume ready for the con to go show it off, and do that whole takes 3 hours to walk across the floor because you're stopping every 5 steps to get pictures taken.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
man.
There's a reason why it's cosplay for the win.
Yeah. And well, anyway, one other thing I wanted to ask you, Jim, I was wondering, do you believe that a lot of Comic-Cons will finally be reopened in 2021, or do you think we're really looking at 2022?
I'm thinking 2022, like mid-year on, is probably going to happen, but I think everyone is still scared to commit financially, because I know a few cons that they got hurt really bad last year because the venues would not let them out of the contract. Even though the venue legally couldn't open because of closure, they wouldn't honor the contract, or at least do the cool thing, which is, okay, don't worry about this year, you're paid up for next year, which would be the cool thing to do, because I know a few cons that have gotten that treatment, which was great, because that's the right thing to do. I mean, that's the honorable thing to do from their point of view. Of like, if I can't write you a check, because let's be honest, venues, they cash that check as soon as they get it, and it's spent for the budget. Yeah. And they got hit hard too, so it's one of those of, but at least honor next year that it's an investment in the relationship.
Right. That's why I love the amazing conventions, especially amazing Las Vegas Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
This is almost amusing. In 2019, the last day of the 2019 Comic-Con, I actually gave the con master, or I call him the con father, and Benjamin. I'll come up with his last name in a minute, but I actually gave Benjamin the money in cash for my table for next year, for 2020. Well, when 2020 was canceled and it looks like 2021 is being canceled, Ben is great. He's like, "Don't worry, John, you're all set for our next con." And I'm like, "Great!" So shout out to the amazing conventions. They're all over the country. Again, they always start with amazing, and they're very good about that.
Yeah, so that's.
I think I'd like to chime in on this and definitely make the point. So, for everybody out there who has a table booked at a convention, if they kick the can down the road to next year, just don't ask for a refund.
Right.
Just accept your place in the next year situation. Because, I understand. I totally get it. There's a lot of small businesses out there that are working on really thin margins, and the $300, $600 that you have invested in that convention slot right now in these difficult times, that can help you stay afloat. And by all means, if that's what it takes to plug the leaks, go ahead and do it. But if you can remain solvent, think about the poor suffering convention promoters who have $100,000 to $200,000 in hyperspace right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're living, they're living on cheese and crackers. They walk to work so they don't have to put gas in the car, and they're just hoping like hell that one more vendor can't cancel out on them.
Exactly, and that's the other half of the relationship that you're keeping that relationship fresh. It's like, hey, I'm supporting you as well as you're supporting me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Exactly.
And let's be honest. It's as much as we like the cons. I mean, honestly, I think next year we're going to see a lot of small cons coming back, because I know a lot of the bigger cons, have had issues for the last few years, but we're going to see a lot of like 2-day cons, weekend cons happen, and hopefully, we see some of the old, friend cons, started by a small board of friends that made a con for 300 to 500 people. That we will see those still happening.
Right.
And of course, virtual cons are good too. I mean, you get on Discord or you get on Skype or you get on Zoom and you get to hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I love the podcast, James. You're an inspiration. I'm always thrilled to be here and to chat. And again, I keep thinking Washington Week in Review or McLaughlin Group. Okay, guys, what will we debate about now? I once saw 4 adult men practically turn purple, arguing over which are better for miniatures, plastic, lead, or steel.
Hey, there's lots of opinions on that one.
Oh, come on. Everybody knows pewter is the best.
Pewter is the purest. You can lick it and your nose tingles.
They say plastic is lighter and easier to carry and easier to paint, but pewter, I think, they're just more durable, and they don't flop over every time somebody stands up and just nudges the table. Yeah, I agree. Pewter miniatures are the way to go. Any thoughts there, Evan? Come on, Evan. I know you've got an opinion, Evan. Come on, Evan. Let's hear it, Evan.
In fact, I do, you peasants. I prefer silver.
Says the jeweler in the group.
Yeah. So being my profession, I do have some opinions on it. I prefer the 3D print SLA printing for the detail. When it comes to like just plastic resins, when it comes to paintability and just the sheer, I like to hold this mini. The pewter is far superior in every way. It also holds the paint, in my opinion, a little bit better. You don't need to, I don't know, being metal, the tools that I have, I can modify them in the way that I need to, where plastic is a lot harder to deal with. Whatever you have in plastic, it's done. You can't modify that very much. When it comes to the metals, I can modify them in any way that I wish.
Yeah.
And the pewter is one of those few ones that if it gets bent, you can bend it back, and other than chipping paint, there's no problem with it.
Well, and with soldering and things like that, I can actually rebuild things if they get too damaged.
Exactly.
Ah,
Yes.
the old hacking mod.
Well, I mean,
Yes, that's true.
what I would really like is to get a circumferential casting machine. They're scary as hell, but you just get a mold, which I can make out of my 3D printed models. I can just make a wax mold, melt it out, and use the lost wax method to make miniatures. So, but what I need is that circumferential thing to kind of push the metal into the mold.
To
Otherwise,
ooze it into all those nooks and crannies.
Yep. Well, the porosity is the worst part. You get little things will burn in there and create gas, and it creates bubbles in the metal.
Well, then you just explain his chest cavity being gone is because he got blown off.
Yeah.
Just put some green stuff in it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, Evan,
man, green stuff.
So, Evan, let me ask for all the game designers out there who are busily building their pocket empires, and I include myself in this category, by the way. Suppose they want to have a line of miniatures in their future, because as I myself am looking at my future merchandising opportunities, I don't see how I move forward without a miniatures line in my future. I think if we forecast 3 to 5 years down the road and I've got everything else in place except that, I'm going to spend more time answering why don't you have miniatures? I'm going to spend more time doing that than I am putting out my next product.
Yeah. And actually, what I really like about your game is what I like about BattleTech is there's just so many ways to personalize your personal tactics and how you fit into a group. And yeah, that does mean minis are going to end up being important, because people could be like, oh, I want this mini, but with these. Forgive me. You had a special night vision goggle for your game, but imagine using those night vision goggles, having them on a mini or a characters from your novel series. Where you want to go ahead?
No, I wanted to talk to you about something about that with developing some miniatures for my from my characters in my books. But we can talk about that another time.
Exactly. And so, well, actually, I was just about to go there. Is the very first thing you want to do is find someone who knows how to model miniatures. So there's so many specialized fields these days with just about everything. But one of the first things you need to do is, before you start even thinking about manufacturing, you need to get your models done first. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be important on how you design those models depending on how you're manufacturing them. Certain features or details or really just even the way that the model stands is going to change how you're going to want to manufacture it. So 3D SLA printing is the most common these days. It's what Wizards of the Coast does. It's the cheapest because most of the money you're going to be paying out is in the modeler, the person who's making the model. Right. That's where the risk in the business venture is going to be, is paying that modeler, because you're going to be paying them maybe $100 or $200 a model if they're mediocre. If they're a really good modeler, you're probably going to be paying about $500 a model.
Right.
And that's
is there a minimum order?
Well, see, that's the thing, is with artists, there's no minimum order. With the artist, you're just like, I'm going to pay you $500. You go to someone else and say, I'm going to pay you $200 for this. And you go to 3 or 4 artists and tell them that you need these models made. And then that's when you go to the manufacturer. And you go to the manufacturer and you're going to tell them, okay, so I've got these models made. How can you do that? And a lot of manufacturers, the most common right now is Reaper. Reaper is the most for mass manufacturing. And honestly, they don't have a lot of different manufacturing methods than I do. So they just have a huge warehouse with lots of people. And that's why they can make a crazy amount. So if you're talking metal, what they're going to do is they're going to do lost wax. They're going to take what's known as a wax tree, and they're going to make this big old wax like pylon looking thing. And they're going to attach wax models that made from yours. They're probably going to 3D print them, 3D print the wax, and attach them to that tree, and it looks like a Christmas tree. Then they're going to put that inside some plaster and melt it down, and that's when they're going to throw in that pewter in a circumferential or a vacuum chamber. Then they clip each one off the tree, and they either send it out or they paint it. Then there's SLA method, which is it's basically a vat of resin, and it gets printed upside down, layer by layer, thousands of layers.
Wow.
I have one, but I've got one myself. It's a cheap one. Cheap being like $400. But the $10,000 machines that Reaper has, they can print out 1,000 miniatures at once, no problem. It's just a huge vat of resin that is UV sensitive, that hardens when it hits that UV light. And then you get your minis, and then they scrape them all off the plate. They cure them in a post processor, and then they send them out. And so that's really the two methods that people are going to use these days, is either SLA or the metal casting method.
And what can you say about distribution?
So distribution is pretty much, that's a whole different animal. You have to have a distributor. You pretty much it's just like with books, you have to have a publisher. It's no different. You need a distributor. So typically what you're going to have is you have to contact a distributor that works with different game stores, and they're going to require a minimum from you. That's where you start talking minimums. See, for me, I'm a small manufacturer. I make custom handmade art. And because I understand this stuff, I have a system where I can make hundreds or thousands. But if you're talking like tens of thousands within a couple weeks or a month, I'd be like, nope, I can't do that. Just because I don't have the manpower. I have the technology and I have the understanding of how to do it. I just don't have the manpower to do it.
Right.
Yeah, but be realistic. What's a small game company going to really be able to afford other than hundreds?
Exactly. No, and you're exactly right. That's actually why I'm able to survive as I do, because if you're already talking about the tens of thousands, then you're already not going to be talking to me anyway. You're going to be talking to somebody in China.
Yeah.
Most likely.
I just wanted to say that, it's distribution, like marketing books. It's always a lot harder than people have than so many people are like, oh, I'm going to write a book and everyone's going to love it and it's going to become a bestseller. And it's like, no.
So you've made a thing and now you have to get it out.
Get that book marketed. You need to get that book distributed. Get in line with everybody else.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know how you've experienced this, John, but I know you've experienced it a little bit. You got to give out a lot of free stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's actually the reason why my business niche is serving smaller indie games, because A, that's what's popular, and B, the bigger guys already have all that worked out. They're not, I'm not going to become a manufacturer for Hasbro. It's not going to happen. That'll never happen.
Mm-hmm.
But
hard to say never, but yeah, I know what you mean. You have to be realistic.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I mean it could, but more likely what's going to happen is I have to lean into that sort of, this is handmade art. This is here, I'm going to share the screen real quick. Can you guys see that?
Actually, guys, I can't believe we've been on for like an hour and 45 minutes. I may have to go and look.
We'll wrap up shortly, but what I'm hearing is that AC After the Collapse and Palamaran need some limited edition characters that you can use in your games.
Hey, absolutely. And maybe some maybe some specialized dice or something. No, okay.
Well, you know what AC After the Collapse needs?
I need miniatures, yeah.
AC After the Collapse needs challenge coins.
Oh, you know what? That's actually a good idea.
See, challenge coins is what I see for Apocalypse, because that way it fits in, just like with AC After the Collapse. Every type of Apocalypse movie you want to make, you can make it with the game. So, you could have the, here was our campaign against the machine. Here was our campaign against the disease.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think John should have a mage school, right? That's a Patreon that has different, this is your 101, course, and you get some of the basic books, but if you're at the master's level course, you get some sneak peeks at the next book. I don't know.
What if Game Master University was a 12-step program?
Oh.
Yes.
Right. And in book 4, while most of the other faculty members at the Game Masters University think it's sacrilege and heresy, their new science and technology department is really taking off. And shall we play a game? Yes, let's play Interdimensional Nuclear War.
Yay! Here, I get these nukes. You get those nukes. Yeah. I think it's sharing now. Is that right?
It's showing. Yep.
Okay. Yep. Here. Check this out.
Ooh.
Dice Tower with gears and the magic key.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's like next season's thing, and that's the thing is like I can make stuff like that, and design stuff like that, but the larger companies aren't going to see something like that as profitable.
Yeah. Mm.
Where on my level it is profitable.
Yeah. And cool. The important thing is it's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Having that unique selling point definitely helps.
So what do the distributors at your level, what do they think of as an acceptable number of units to move? Is it 200, 300, less than 1,000? What?
Typically, the orders I get are usually about 100 or 200, and it's usually custom dice at that level. And I mean that's so I have to be my own distributor pretty much, because again, a lot of the major distributors, if I say like, hey, I want to sell my dice, they're gonna be like, okay, well, I'm gonna need about 10,000 of those dice to sell. And I'll be moving them to different, FLGS stores across the country. And that's why they need so many of them, because they're not going to make any money. Mm-hmm. See, they make money, and the more stock they have, the more money they make. So they want you, and that's why it's so difficult to get into the distributing part, is because distributors want you to have enough to give to multiple stores so that they can make an income. And so at my level, what I do is I have to be my own distributor, and I've contacted various stores. I have a couple in Texas. I've got a couple stores here in Arizona. But I only, move about 10 units each store. Now, the problem I'm having now is that I can't keep them stocked. I'll make a couple sets, I'll give them to them, and they're gone the next day.
See, on the plus side, I'm hearing that's a great marketing angle. Limited time only.
So that's actually exactly what I did. Part of the issue that I was having is because I do custom stuff, is I was having to stop production to make custom things and then make more custom things and then make custom stock. It wasn't working. So what I did was I standardized my stock so that into seasons. So I just had my spring season. So that was a bunch of sort of emerald-like dice. They were kind of clear. They had gold in them. The Star Wars dice that I was making were called the Endor series because they all looked like Endor, looked like the spring environment. And so summer is going to be like fire and lava. So I've got the lava, dragon lava dice coming out and some beach dice as well.
Cool.
They change under hot water, so they'll look like night and sand, and then when you put them under the water, it'll look like daytime and sand.
Or when you spill your coffee.
That too.
Yeah.
And I also just came out with I call them bad dice or big ass dice. Yeah, they're about the size of a baseball. So
Wow.
Huge.
Now you may think I'm kidding, but I'm going to give you a hot tip right now. There's a good friend of mine who is the editor and publisher of Accessible Games Quarterly. And part of what all that is role play. That is a magazine dedicated to role-playing games and the disabled people who love them. And one of the things that they talk about in this magazine, and I know this because I've written several articles on the subject for them, is unusually large dice for the visually impaired.
Mm-hmm.
Now, over the years, I have collected maybe about half a coffee can's worth of unusually large dice. So I got them all. I've got a D4 that you can kill somebody with. It's that big. So you got D20s the size of an avocado pit, and while we're having fun about this, the fact is that. Just as an example, you find the right publication, you could market, those extra large dice to the community that would love to buy them.
Definitely.
That is a hot tip, and I didn't even think of that. I'm so glad that you mentioned that.
Because, gamers come in every style and type. I mean, I know a lot of folks that, because of arthritis, they don't really like the tiny, tiny dice. They like the bigger, chunkier dice,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I just like big chunkers.
Evan, if you
I've said a big chunky dice, yeah.
If you drop me an email, I will give you insider details.
Excellent. I was actually just about to do that. I was going to take a picture of all of the prototypes for the or the masters for the big dice, and I'll send them to you just for fun. But yeah, if you could send me that'd be great. I'll shoot them an email.
Absolutely. See, folks, there you go. This is commerce in action, and because this podcast will live forever, this becomes a slice of history. So if you ever wondered where in the hell did that come from, Evan Cook is the guy to blame, and now you know where to find him.
That's true. Or would they be blaming you?
But see, that is, the important thing of us talking about everybody's cool stuff. That's how these things spread, is the marketing angle of we tell somebody, hey, I know people who want this, or I know people who've made this, is merely by marketing cool ideas back and forth with friends. This is how we get stuff out there. I mean, if you're looking for a cool dice tower that requires a key to open it, because that's just cool. I mean, come on. Tell me that somewhere there's not a escape room that doesn't need something like that to be made. As much as I love talking about writing in RPGs, an escape room would love that type of specialty item.
Oh, absolutely. And that's just the thing, is I really have to work on my marketing really bad. I have to work on because the thing is what I can do, I know that there's a huge market for, because I could do just about anything.
It's just that it's a full-time job just on its own.
It is just marketing. I'm always stuck between either I can choose to market today or I can choose to make stuff today. It's difficult.
And speaking of marketing, before we leave, where can folks find you guys on the social media circuit? See how I throw the limiter out there?
Okay, you can find me on Facebook. I have several groups, including my Palamaran Adventures LLC. That's my marketing company for my books. Of course, my name, John Paul Ried, R-I-E-D. And you can find me on my brand new fancy dancy website that I've mentioned a couple of times. DM Palamar, P-A-L-A-M-A-R, .US2, that's number 2, US2, authorhomepage.com. And you can also find me on Amazon as well.
Excellent. As for me, I've got Instagram, I've got Facebook. I also have a website, as I mentioned before. All you got to do is I have a pretty unique name. So Paradigm, that's Paradigm. And it's Paradigm Lost is the business name. And you can see what I'm up to, all my different experiments, all my mad science on any of that stuff.
Very cool.
And hopefully we'll get another issue of the Enclave Monthly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I was getting a lot of backlash from that, but I think it was just some trolls that were on my Kickstarter. If there really is interest in that, I will bring it back.
I'm hoping you bring it back. That's just me.
Yes, sir.
Look, if you really want to go to war with those trolls, you just get back to me. I'll write something really spicy, and then
I just gave them their money back.
I've got no trouble going toe to toe with trolls. They don't frighten me, because anybody who has to use a screen name to say something trashy about my work, A, doesn't really know what I do, B, doesn't actually do what I do, C, doesn't live in my area, so D, they'll never lay a hand on me. So.
Right.
That's true. Right. That is very true.
And don't forget, a lot of clickbait sites use trolls as marketing.
That's true.
Well,
actually,
you can make the trolls work for you if somebody, not that I would know who, but if somebody would write something spicy for you, then you can always say, "Hey, look, man, it's not my fault. The guy's nuts."
Yeah, right.
Right.
I gave her money back. I was like, you don't deserve my dice.
Aww.
It's go ahead.
Oh, and we'll throw it out there. The best way to find Paradigm Lost is Paradigm Lost LLC on Google, because without the LLC, it doesn't come up on Google, because Google sucks.
Yeah, it's true. Or if you just put in the store. It's because there was a movie called Paradigm Lost, and it's a surfer movie, and they're desperately trying to get their money back on it.
Silly Google.
Well, I can make mine a lot easier for everybody, because if you type in acaftercollapse.com, it's the very first thing that comes up on the page. It doesn't matter if you use Google or AltaVista or even DuckDuckGo. That it's right there. And not only will you find our whole product line and our YouTube channel and our blog, but we've also got free stuff to give away. Evan was talking about how it's important for you to give away stuff. Well, we got a whole truckload of free PDFs for you to download, all the bathroom reading you could ever want.
Same here. All of my materials are going to become free soon. So
I can't do free, but I'm very eager to come out with my PDF novella. That will be free, and I'll send it out to everyone. And if they read it and like it, then ooh, look at all these books you can buy by the same author. You know.
See,
I employ my mind control device.
I love the sound effect.
it reminded me of the dolphin speak in Hudson Hawk.
Oh yeah. It reminded me of Aquaman, even though I know John is more of a Namor guy.
Yeah. Namor.
The old-fashioned Justice Friends, you know.
Fine, I'll trump all of you and go back to George C. Scott, Day of the Dolphin, 1970. How's that?
Oh wow, there we go.
You win. We bow
that's
down.
Some deep cuts right there.
All right, guys. I gotta say it's been great having you on. We got to do more of these because 2020 messed everything up. But we definitely have to get together and hang out some more.
Speaking of which, I did want, before we all go, I did want to, you can edit this part out if you want, or maybe it's a sneak peek, I don't know.
Leave it as a
I
teaser.
did want to talk to you guys about this GM survival guide I want to run as a podcast. And basically, it's just kind of a regular podcast where a bunch of experienced GMs just kind of shoot the breeze under kind of the focus of different episodes will be different things. So like I do have it all kind of written out. I was going to share it with you guys. It's written.
I was gonna say, don't say anything too secret yet.
I have 7 episodes written, and the first one is called "So You Want to Be a GM." And what this designed for is I want it to be for people who haven't GM'd before. It's kind of a 2-pronged thing, just to be fun to put online. But also I run a group of GMs, and all the time I get these questions. They're very basic questions, and I often repeat myself. So I thought, hey, this would be like a great boot camp. You know what I mean?
Yes. I started a group on Facebook called the Dungeon Masters Secret Society.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we do. Whenever I have a question, whenever I go, players trying to tell me that a good perception roll can do anything a rogue can do, like find and detect traps. I'm like, oh yeah.
No, not quite. So I'd love to I'd love to meet up with you guys again and run that. And it does go a little in depth, like it goes into the history of it. I actually did some really deep dives on a lot of this stuff. For instance, like the first time recorded, we had role playing in China in the Han Dynasty, where they did quote unquote historical reenactments in 200 BC.
Yes.
Hey, it's a thing.
I'll give you a piece of advice for this.
Yeah.
Just as a recommendation, write the book.
Yes.
I'm serious about this. Before you ever do the podcast, write the book, have it queued up, ready to publish, and then do your podcast and do all the episodes of the podcast. Have them cleaned, have them polished, and have them prepped so that your book and your podcast can launch at the same time, so that whenever you are on anybody's podcast, like this one here, you can say, my book, blah, 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 and if you don't like to read, then there's always the podcast where you can find blah, blah, blah. Right. And in today's world, when I look at my crystal ball, I see in the future more books will need to have will need to have related podcasts And the thing is, for the dollars you spend to launch the book and the dollars you spend to launch all the episodes of the podcast, you will be surprised at what you do not have to spend after that to market the thing, because the two will support each other, and as they're tagged and flagged within the search engine matrices of Google and Amazon, you'll make the big corporations work for you.
That's actually pretty wise. I will take that into consideration. Because it's, I wouldn't mind turning this into there's a lot there.
Yes.
And besides, when you're done,
I would also love to just chat with you guys about it.
When you're done, for the rest of your life, whether you're on a radio show, whether you're on a podcast, or whether you're dining out at a restaurant somewhere, you can say, blah, 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 and I should know because I'm the guy who wrote the book.
Yeah.
You're right.
That alone is worth it.
Yes, I have to do it because of that alone.
That's my advice to everybody. Right. I know sometimes it's a pain in the butt when you're tired, worn out, you just get back from work, but you got to sit down and you got to write. People ask me all the time, how do I write a book? Well, very simple. I come up with my smashing climactic ending. Like, here's where I want to end, right? And then I just start at the beginning with the characters, and I build everything toward that ending. And sometimes I come to a climactic thing well before the end, but it ties in perfectly with the end because that's where I'm headed. And I mean, forgive me, Justin. I mean, again, the game systems, they don't matter because everybody has their own game system they use out there anyway. Why reinvent the wheel, right? Write the book, right? Just write.
Yes. Now, I'm trying to stay locked on to the marketing point here because Evan and I are in the same boat. We have large ambitions. We want to take over the world. We just have very small wallets. And so one of the things that you can do by way of marketing is to give yourself a credential. So if Evan Cook happened to write a book, as technical as it might be, how to make dice, he has just given himself a credential. Mm-hmm. Now, some of you may know me from other podcasts. I have been known to talk the occasional bit of conspiracy theory over the years, and some of you have even heard me on live radio in a few places, and inevitably somebody asked me, how the hell do you know that? What makes you qualified to say that? And I can just say, well, I am the guy who wrote the book on conspiracy fiction. And all of a sudden, you hear across the country, you hear 20,000 phones click, 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 click. Son of a beep. Well, okay, all right. I guess he told me, didn't he? So again, if you go back to this, this Dungeon Masters boot camp thing, you write that book for the rest of your life. You are the guy who wrote the book, and that's you'll never, even if you mortgage your house, you'll never be able to buy that kind of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Like it is true. Having that, in a way, it's like talking about legacy. It's building a legacy.
Yes, I'm thrilled that 200 years from now, long after I'm gone and dead and forgotten even by my nearest and dearest, some graduate student at the Library of Congress is going to be, recataloging, maybe imagery photographing or scanning, and he'll come across my books and he'll look at them and say, wow, these look pretty cool. He might even sneak a scanned copy for himself and share it with his friends. And I believe me, writing is immortality. That's why I tell everybody, write.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. But to touch a little bit on your point, is that kind of, that marketability, like for what I was telling you before, and I just didn't want to say it too much, was, hey, I'm going to have dice in the Gygax Museum. You can't buy that kind of marketing.
Oh, you can't.
Right.
And after it happens, I will owe you a cup of coffee someday.
Yes. I can't wait. I have a meeting with him on June 8th, and I think he wants to play a session of D&D with me too. So
Very cool.
Nice.
I would be over the top if that.
I'm friends with Ernie Gygax on Facebook.
Yes.
I offered to send him a copy of a book of mine or two, and he seemed amenable, but he said he had to wait until he politely put me off. But I should do that again. And you're absolutely right. I have to give away a lot of books to get people to see them.
Oh, I know. It's true. It's true. But hopefully that free book that you give away ends up finding somebody who knows other people.
Mhm.
Why do you think I gave Sean Austin, a.k.a. Samwise Gamgee, when I met him at an amazing Las Vegas Comic-Con? I gave him a copy of one of my books. Nicolas Cage got another copy. That's what you do.
Yep. Oh, Nicolas Cage probably really liked that. He likes stuff like that.
Mhm.
I hope so. But hey, I just want to thank Jim, for all of his hard work and setting up this podcast for us, and and helping us sell, giving us a platform to present our fun to everybody and say, hey, check us out.
And hey, join in the fun. That's the important part,
I'm just sorry for the mess you're going to have to clean up after we're gone.
Yeah, I know.
I've got a couple days before Thursday, so it's okay.
Wait a minute, you're not going to tell them about our conspiracy to... Oh, I'm sorry. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. I'm just rambling.
That was edited out for your protection.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'd have to kill you.
Otherwise, there might be a knock at your door and social distancing has been broken.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm tempted to make a comment along the lines of, well, good heavens, if she's pretty, what's the problem? But I don't want to get shot here, so I better not make that comment. Okay.
Alrighty, guys. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up because I know y'all got to take off, and I know I got to take off. And it's definitely been great chatting with you guys again, and we need to totally plan, like one or two more times at least this month, I'm thinking. Because
at the very least, yes.
Because we definitely were chit-chatting at the very beginning of this, quite a bit, because, damn, so many things have been happening.
My schedule is the craziest, but it looks like I'm going to have Mondays and Tuesdays off. So I mean those are the perfect days for me to any podcast. Yeah.
Okay. And then maybe if we get really lucky, we could actually get a game in on it sometime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That'd be awesome.
Hey, I'm running my game tomorrow. Absolutely.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for coming on, and you are always welcome to come back anytime. And we'll see what we can set up schedule wise for the rest of the month.
God bless.
Sounds good
Absolutely.
to me.
All right, and
Evan, I will reply to you as soon as I can.
Okay, sounds good. I expect it, and I'll be in touch with you guys as well.
All right.
And Evan, I still hope we can meet somewhere between Tucson and Phoenix. I do have some books for you. And Justin, I always, please don't misunderstand me. I always enjoy our discussions. I always take what you say and I think I digest it and think about it carefully. And I hope we chat more.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It was really good to talk to you guys. Sorry I was so wizardly on time.
And James, good heavens, James, please let me know when Tucson or Tucson Comic-Con are starting up again.
All right, cool. I have heard some insider chit-chat that Tucson may happen. I mean, it's going to happen regardless online, if not in person. But there might be some little thing happening we don't know yet.
Ooh.
Hopefully we'll hear more in a little while, but I'll let you know if I hear anything.
I can't promise anything, but I will tell you just confidentially. I think we're going to skip out on Arctic Comic Con this year here in Anchorage, and it's more than anything else a cost-saving measure.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to do is I would like to get down to what we affectionately here in Alaska call the lower 48 for at least for at least one convention. And I've kind of kicked the ball around a little bit with Jim about this, and I think TwoCon would really serve our purposes nicely for that. So probably in November, Jim, I'm gonna start picking your brain about next year.
All right.
I have some great news for everyone. Saboten Con is going to be
our local anime con.
Yep, is going to be up and running September 3rd through September 6th as a real con. I'm trying to see if I can get a vendor table now.
So when you're doing anime, masks become really easy to become part of the costume.
Right.
I know, right?
Yes, it is an anime con, but guess what? I got pretty girls on my covers of my books. I'm going.
Hey, I mean, I know a lot of folks that work the con as well as go to the con. It's not just anime; it's also video games get brought into it, books get brought into it.
So?
I know quite a few people who want role-playing games happening there. So
yeah,
yep.
Now, while I'm thinking about it, Jim, and if in the course of what you do to prepare for your conventions in your area, if you want door prizes or anything else like that, let me know, and because I can as long as I have an address where I can send heavy boxes to, I'd be glad to send you stuff that would probably be a real surprise to your community.
And one thing that TUSCON always does is since it's pretty much 90% of the con is writers, that they do have the swag table, that if you have like promotional postcards, posters, stuff like that they have, a spot to put those out to get a little marketing out there, which that was one I was going to mention, but I totally forgot about the marketing is, at cons, see if they've got a swag table.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Which, by the way, if the cons themselves need things, badges or stuff like that, you let me know, because I also do name tags and stuff like that.
Which personal tags are awesome compared to the regular con ones. Just saying.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, like if the con wants like engraved name tags for their employees and stuff, that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Like, because I do leather, I do plastic, I do metal, of course. So any of that, if they need anything, let me know. And I also might be able to give door prizes.
Ah.
I've given door prizes before. Oh yes. Some of the pinup events I've been to, some of the lovely ladies have won a copy of my books. But hey, God bless you all. This has been wonderful. Let's do it again real soon. Okay.
All right.
Yep.
All right, you got it, guys.
All
All right.
I'll be in touch with you, Jim, later about this, about the recordings, okay?
All right, cool, man.
I'll be in touch with all of you guys, I hope. Please get in touch with me. Bye-bye.
My flexibility on scheduling is good, Evan, so if you want my participation, I'm in.
Yes, please. I need that smooth, buttery radio voice. I need it.
I can do it, and if you want a few character voices, I have been known to do that too. I actually about 2019, I did a handful of short MP3 sound bites for a friend of mine, and it was basically, "Hey, what are you looking at?"
That's awesome. I love it. I was actually throwing that around as a consideration, maybe doing some visuals on the instead of just a straight podcast, something that I could throw on YouTube to have visuals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, if you're talking about, in all seriousness, if you're talking about, the GM's boot camp, It's sometimes useful to explain the monster's point of view, because in spite of what we look like, we ain't all stupid.
It's true. I love it. Oh, man, I'm excited now. I'm excited.
Time for all of us to go out to Party City and buy the Game Master costume from the old D&D show.
Yay. That sounds fun.
Alrighty, guys, I'm gonna have to go.
All right, talk to you guys later.
All right, later.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to D&D Journey of the 5th Edition, a member of the Creative Play and Podcast Network. Please follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/CPPN to never miss a show or stream.
Hello, this is Eric.
And Wendy Strog with Stone Valley Hobby and Games.
We sell board games, card games, role-playing games, and supplies. We have thousands of Magic the Gathering cards available, carry Kickstarter products, and work with veteran-owned small businesses to bring you our own line of products.
We are a small business retailer, but we offer competitive prices, a loyalty system, and free shipping on orders over $100.
As a military veteran myself, I'm a strong supporter of our armed forces, their families, and contractors out there doing the hard job. So any order from an AA, AE, or EP address will be shipped absolutely free.
Remember, StoneValleyGames.com, where we take your leisure seriously.